On this edition of Game Shack, it's been a tough year for Arcade1up, with many of us in the community preaching doom and gloom, including myself. But let me tell you why I might have been wrong about Arcade1up. Coming up next. Hey everybody, welcome on back into the Game Shack. I'm your host JDV for Evil Genius Entertainment. Thanks for stopping by. It really does mean a lot to us. If you dig content like this, please give me a thumbs up on the way out the door. And if you're new here or haven't subscribed, please consider doing so and hit the notification bell if you do. If you really want to help out the channel, you could buy me a coffee or hit any one of the affiliate links that don't cost you any money and sends a little bit tiny amount of money over to the channel. But again, thanks guys for stopping by. Okay, so anyone who's looked at this channel for a long time knows that I've done a lot of content on Arcade1up because I've owned a lot of their machines, over a dozen of them over the past 4 years or so. I have mostly given them positive reviews because I think by and large the products that they make are A, unique, and B, generally speaking, pretty good when they work. But a lot of us have had a lot of criticisms for Arcade1up in 2024, and not without some justification. If you look at the fact that there's been no new V pins, which has actually been a real hurt to the community. While I love my 4KP from AtGames, it's always better to have more competition, right? It'd been nice to see what Arcade1up could have done if they had increased the hardware capacity on those games. The lack of V pins, I think, has been a negative. The lack of new XLs, and in general, the lack of new titles, as in we saw no new titles for 2024 and only a couple of different varieties of essentially machines we had already seen, which has made a lot of us feel very kind of queasy about Arcade1up, thinking that maybe they might go out of business or, you know, have lost track of what they were supposed to be doing in 2024 going into 2025. While all that is true, an experience last week made me rethink some of the negative thoughts that I've been having about Arcade1up. So I was in the mall kind of shopping around, and when I saw 3 arcade machines from Arcade1up, each one of a different generation, and it reminded me that in some ways Arcade1up is doing exactly what maybe they should have been doing all along. All right, you check out this footage here, you can see 3 different generations of Pac-Man, right? You have the original generation Pac-Man. I think it only has 2 games on it, maybe 3. You have the so-called Peasantcade that you can pick up right now from Walmart for $2.99 that has 14 games, Wi-Fi, interactivity. It doesn't have a coin door, a riser, or a lit marquee, but in every other aspect is similar to the brand new deluxes that you can buy from Arcade1up. And right next to that is my Pac-Mania cab that I have for sale in the mall. And that kind of represents the tech from 2 years ago, where you had a lot of good things about that machine, but it had those bad TN screens, which means that if you're not perfectly lined up with it, you're going to have a lot of washed out type colors and everything. And seeing all 3 of those games next to each other reminded me of just how far Arcade1up has come in the last 6 years. When you look at that Gen 1 game, comparing it even to the Peasantcade from Walmart, and the differences are stark. The fact that you can post your scores online is still a big thing to me. I think that is very cool. And the online capacities of the newer versions of Arcade1up are a good thing. I mean, the screen on that Peasantcade is amazing. I mean, it just looks fan-freaking-tastic. And let's think about that Peasantcade for a second. Okay, so you can get into a brand new version of it, either pick it up at the store, have it delivered in a couple days for $2.99, right? And so then you're getting kind of the original form factor of Arcade1up, no lit marquee, no coin door, but you are getting a way better screen. You are getting much better joystick than you could in that original set of things. And if you wanted to upgrade that Peasantcade, it is super easy to do so. There are lots of companies that are still putting out lit marquee keys, like Joe Sabo, for instance. You can get a really sweet marquee for any one of those Peasantcades. You can flip around the kick panel there so it's black, and then you can put on your own coin door for, again, maybe $30, $40, so not that much money. You can maybe get a riser from G.I. Joel or make it yourself, or just buy one of the pre-made risers from Arcade1up if you don't mind them kind of sticking on the outside. So there's a big upgrade path available on something like the Peasantcade. But the main important thing is you are getting those games on an amazing looking screen with controllers that are more than adequate for most players. So yeah, maybe I was wrong about Arcade1up. I think that Peasant Cade for $2.99 is actually a pretty good deal, and frankly is better than that Pacmania cab that I have by a wide mile, just because of the screen alone. And in fact, if I can sell my Pacmania cab, I'm just probably going to go and buy the Peasant Cade and then just doll it up myself. I'm not quite as an arcade purist as some guys are. I think that they're doing what they need to do to see 2025. Now, yeah, do we need to see some new titles eventually, at least 1 or 2 a year? Yeah, we probably do, and it would probably help that company to do so. However, let's not forget that getting back to basics is sometimes the best thing a company can possibly do. All right, so if you like this kind of content, give me a thumbs up on the way out the door. It really does help the channel. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And, you know, we're 2 weeks till Christmas, so, you know, things are getting a little tense around the world. But take it easy. Go play some video games. Have a good time. Love each other. And I'll see you again in a Game Shack. Mwah.
Be sure to visit evilgeniusentertainment.com for exclusive content, swag, casting call news, and much, much more.